What's up, everybody? Anthony over here, and we are in the Farmington Muffler Building, aka Autoworks 2. And what I'm going to talk about today is just kind of how we got here and who we are and where we come from. So I'm actually a Farmington native. I grew up here, was born here in '92, and lived here my whole life. You know, went to school here, all that stuff, was homeschooled for a majority of my life. And then when I was like 14 or 15 years old, I went ahead and got a job at Brown's Fabrication. Some of you might remember that, RJ and Joe Brown. They always treated me fair, good dudes, and I just started sweeping floors over there. And then so over the years, you know, I worked with them a few years, went and tried to do our other thing with my pops, and that was not super successful. You know, we made a little bit of money, but never much. And then we ended up in Gallup. So we ended up moving from here about 12, 13 years ago, ended up in Gallup, and I opened up the original Autoworks. And I was broke as shit for a long time. And so it took me a couple of years to even kind of figure out what I was doing. Initially, all I really wanted to do was just kind of do lift kits and wheels and tires and some suspension work. That didn't really end up working out, so it took a couple of years, and I ended up getting into the muffler business. And then once I was in the muffler business, I was able to make some money and get some things going. And then I kept doing enough mufflers with different people that people wanted me to start completely fixing their car. And I was like, no, I don't do that sort of thing. And then one day this old man came in and he's like, well, I want you to replace my motor. I'm like, no, dude, I don't do motor work. That's not what I do. And he said, well, you're gonna do it. And I was like, no. He's like, well, you did a great job on my muffler. I love the way you did everything. Why don't you do it? And mind you, it was just a simple muffler job. It wasn't nothing crazy, but he was insistent, and so he literally made me take his money, and I tried everything to get out of it. He wouldn't, so he gave me his money finally, and we ended up swapping out his motor, get his motor rebuilt for him, and that kind of what launched us more into a lot of the heavy line or a lot of the mechanical work that we do today. During that time, it was still, so of course I opened in 2014. Couple years go by, I went like a year negative in rent. You know, I finally ended up in the muffler business. I start paying my bills. Then we start getting into heavier repair and stuff like that. And then, you know, there's just a kind of a snowball effect there. You know, different employees, more employees, people have come and gone, left, and all that stuff. So, but it's been a long journey. So even though I'm new in this building or new in this business, I'm not new in business. And so we've been around a long time. And, you know, there's a lot of struggles along the way for there. So, and even 12 years in, I mean, there's still days where I'm like, dude, I have no idea why I'm doing this. And, you know, and sometimes I'm kicking kicking myself in the ass because I opened the second place. So, and that's not easy. But, you know, we're doing it. We're here. Super excited to be here. But I just kind of wanted to kind of explain to you guys exactly where we come from and who we are, and of course all the things that we've gotten into over the years. You know, it went from just suspension work to mufflers to doing lift kits, and then of course doing all kinds of mechanical repair, and we do all that here in this building too. You know, wheels, tires, all that stuff, we do that. And it's taken a lot to get here. So I just thought I'd share that with you guys. You know, this was a place when I cruised by when I was a kid, and I used to think, man, that's a super nice building, or it always looked cool. At least to me, it always looked cool, always looked clean. And I kind of thought one day that I was like, man, I'd love to own that shop one day. And it just so happened that it all worked out. So kind of crazy that those things happen, especially when you're a kid, and the things that happen later in life that kind of come true for you. So, but if you guys want to know more about us or anything, hit us up, share our stuff, and follow us and stay tuned, and I'll do a little bit more videos like this.